This is Joshua Harris from Frankly Cigars. I'm here with Norm from Blind Label Cigars, who's actually a cigar fossil and will move at some point during this interview. He is cigar culture forward. He's not about the business of what happened to you during the day, but more about the BOTL and SOTLs. And that does not stand for beard of the leaf, even though I thought for a while it did. His favorite smoking companion is Dallas, and he's here with us today on Frankly Cigars. Did I do
Yeah,
okay?
Dallas, you did perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
but I will move. Okay, I only stiffen up sometimes.
Oh no, believe me, I made fun of it a lot more when I was younger than I do now. Like that may
Oh,
it may be two or three jokes about it, but I realize that tonight is coming, and so I can't really make fun of you for that much. When did you smoke your first cigar, you cigar fossil?
oh God. So my first cigar was around 22 or 23. And it was crazy because my receptionist at the time, I had a business, and her husband
Hmm.
was a Cohiba distributor.
Oh
So my
wow.
first cigar were Cohibas, and he'd constantly bring them to me, and I constantly got sick. But after about four or five, everything kind of settled down, and he started bringing cases. It was
Wow.
really cool. Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to let her go at some point.
But I imagine I went slightly longer than it would have normally because it was like, oh, I really want to fire you, but we're gonna
Yeah.
wait a week just to see what happens.
Here's your 12th chance.
Right, right. Do you have a favorite drink to pair with your cigar?
I'm not a drinker, but
Okay.
if I were to, what I normally do, I could do a ginger beer, which, depending on the cigar, is great,
Okay.
or a root beer or a Dr. Pepper. But here's something that I really love, and it's called a Bina. It's a craft soda made specifically for cigar smokers.
Okay.
I only started drinking this year, and they've got like four flavors. My favorite is Candlewood. And when I first met the owner, you might have met him at the PCA show, but he was telling me that you have to sip it and then retrohale. I said, when am I going to retrohale a Coke, or a 7 Up? And I did,
Right.
and it was magic. So
Wow. Okay.
when I'm able to get it, it's called a Bina.
Okay. What's your advice to a new cigar smoker? Somebody just starting out, whether in Canada where you are or in America where I am.
So many people ask me this question, and really, what I don't like seeing is just people sticking to one cigar
Okay.
and not expanding their palate. Like I always look at it as getting into a new music. So if you're into rock, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden you start liking jazz, and now that whole door opens up to this new genre. And that's the same thing with cigar smokers. Try, experiment. You'll never know what you like. And I want to give you an example of this. Um, at the PCA, I met this guy Sam Shulin,
Mhm.
and he had Shulin cigars, and he asked me what cigar I liked, and I like Habanos, and he said, "Well, try my Connecticut," and I said, "No, I'm not into Connecticut's."
Right.
Yeah, so I'm into that stronger, richer cigar. And he says, "No, no, no, take it. If you don't like it, come back and I'll give you another one tomorrow. But if you do, let me know." And I did.
Okay.
Holy crap. It was an incredible cigar that would have taken anybody off guard. And now this is one of my favorite cigars.
Wow. Yeah. That's an incredible journey and story. And like I've been introduced to different facets of life through just experimenting. And it's almost like the example we used to use at the shop when I worked at the shop level was where you're not just going to go out and have a hamburger at Ruth Chris every single time you sat down at Ruth Chris. Well, no, they're known for steaks. Yeah. So why would you come in here and get the exact same cigar every time? Well, that's what I know and that's
Right.
what I like. Yeah, but you're never going to know exactly what you like until you try everything. And so it's a very learned response. What's your biggest unwritten cigar rule violation that you dislike?
I've got so many pet peeves. The one
It's
is,
difficult being OCD and smoking cigars at the same time.
yeah, the one that gets me is going into a humidor and you got the sniffy handle, like they're touching the cigars, but like putting it up to their nose.
Oh yeah.
But the one that really gets me, and this is usually the same person, And this could be because they're completely new, but it's when they put it in their mouth after they've sniffed it and handled it, right, and then put it in their mouth and then used the lounge's clippers.
Yeah, the clippers that they just bought, because I will sell you those clippers in a second because they're yours now. Like, that's terrible.
Oh man. And you know, the other pet peeve, being up here in Canada, we haven't, at least in Ontario, our government has banned all smoking lounges. So there's zero. But if you go into a tobacconist, one that's close by to me, I'll be in there talking with the guy. I hang out there sometimes. And first thing I hear, you have Cubans? You have Cubans?
Right.
I almost had like, oh, come on, guys, open your minds. And he'll, you know, he's the same general manager all the time. And he'll explain to them, and, you know, he'll even try to sway some of these people over to some other really great cigars. But right, everybody thinks it's just Cuban, Cuban, Cuban. And that's just another small pet peeve.
Well, the thing that holds a lot of weight here in America that might not be so weighted in another country like Canada is, I just tell people, hey, it's a government project. The government in Cuba is the ones that are making the cigars. So just think about how government usually works out for people, and just think if they have your best interest in mind when they're making cigars. Yeah. What was the moment you felt like a real cigar smoker? What was the moment where it just clicked for you?
I think probably when all of a sudden people started asking me for advice.
Yeah.
And like when I'm in a lounge, I never tell people how to smoke or what they're doing right or wrong. If they ask, I'll give you my opinion. But all of a sudden, I was kind of that go-to person whenever we had cigar events. I'm from the e-com industry, and so we'd have these get-togethers, and all of a sudden, I was that go-to person, and that was, oh wow, this is interesting. And then I started noticing over the years, I have a library of cigar books. So I started getting into it more and more just by absorbing all this knowledge. So yeah, that's kind of when it started.
Yeah. What was the last cigar that surprised you? Was it the Connecticut at the PCA?
That completely surprised me. Yeah. But I'll tell you another one that there was two, and one was just last week. So it was from El Septimo, the Empress of Sheba. It blew me away. Yeah. It was my profile. I just sat there from start to finish and loved that thing.
And it's great. And I think that's why we continue to do this, is because you have those serendipitous moments that just occur like that. And it's not necessarily something that you go looking for. Like, you probably went to the shop and thought, okay, well, let me go ahead and give this a try. And it was within your price point, and somebody described it and said, oh, you think you like it? And I always get like that with a grain of salt, like, oh, you think I'll like it? Because I taste food differently than you do, and I drink alcohol and you do not. So I have a different palate. So for somebody to even recommend it is kind of a fool's errand, but still we do it. We throw ourselves into the breach and go, oh no, I think you'd like this. No, please try this. What's your favorite cigar?
So I do want to say the second one, because this one, another one that blew me away because of the layers that it came in. And I know it has different years that it comes out. But last year, I was lucky enough to have one of the Davidoff's Chef Series. Wow. Now, I don't need to go and spend $300 on a cigar to enjoy it. You know, I can spend $20 and enjoy it. But this one, and from what I researched, they go around and they interview different Michelin chefs, and the cigar starts off with the one chef to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's like an entree to a dessert. So at the very end, it's almost like you're smelling pipe tobacco, but there's so many layers. It's so well composed. I loved it.
Yeah, Davidoff is one of those that, you know, they come up a lot in the interview process that I do, and people have, you know, only positive things to say about them. What's your favorite cigar now? Forever.
Well, favorites that I'm leaning to right now, because it's very hard to say one, but
how about this? What's the favorite that you would like to get for a birthday present this year?
Oh, if I could pick one cigar for a birthday, I love that Liga Privada series, which also leans over to Dunbarton, which also leans over to Foundation. So any of those would be great. But My favorite cigar of all time, if somebody could go back to 2010 and grab me a Cohiba Bahiki BHK 52,
Yeah.
that would be, yeah, thank you very much.
You might have
I
to,
would be,
Norm, you might
I
have
would
to
be
do more than
happy.
thank you very much if they brought you a time machine
I
cigar. If you
know.
got a time machine cigar, and here's an even better one. What if they had one from then that had been aging this entire time? That would be even more incredible because the depth
Joshua,
that cigars have. Yeah.
my buddy had a heart attack. He lived, but he gave me his cigars. He used to live in Cuba during the Baptista era.
Oh,
He
wow.
had 25 to 30 pre-Castro cigars that he gave me. I finished my last one last year, and I found out that I just smoked a treasure chest.
Yeah.
When I was at the big
Yeah.
smoke, somebody was telling me what these cigars were worth, and I went, "Oh my god!" Oh,
See,
yeah.
and that's why when I get a time machine, I'm not going to bring you the cigar, but I'm going to go back and do this interview a year earlier so that I can have some access to those cigars when I ask you these questions.
Oh,
Is there an accessory that you can't live without? Is there something that just enhances your cigar experience to that degree where you just need it every time you smoke?
it's a very inexpensive new accessory that I learned about this year. I don't even know if they're selling it directly yet,
Mhm.
but it was called Tip Dip. And what
Okay.
it is a solution that you put your cigar in and it dries right away. What it allows you to do is it gives your mouth a better seal when you're smoking it, but also when you're cutting it, there's it doesn't it helps the wrapper or the cap not to uh,
To fray and
unwind,
to shatter.
fray,
Right, right, right.
and it stops the tobacco from going all over your mouth.
Okay.
So that's something that's very that's probably one of my top right now. But the other one is I've got this I picked up, and this might be overkill, but this is called the Life Pod Humidor. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever seen it.
I have.
It's it's fantastic.
They're
So
incredible.
they don't hold a ton of cigars,
Mhm.
but if I'm bringing any expensive cigars, this baby will hold them. It's fantastic.
Those are two interesting ones. And if Tip Dip wants to sponsor, they can just reach out at franklyscigars@gmail.com and we can definitely work that out if you need a sponsorship. Have you ever met anyone in the cigar industry? You've done a bunch of tastings at JC Newman. You went down and did the rolling class there. You've been to PCAs before. You've been to Big Smokes. Is there anybody in the cigar industry that you've been epically impressed by?
I'll tell you one guy that stands out,
Yeah.
and I didn't even know who he was when I was talking to him, and we talked for about 2 hours about everything. That's Raphael Nodell. He is he is a gentleman. He's a really cool guy, and
Yeah.
it was the day that the Monte Cristo opened in the Paris Hotel in Vegas,
Mhm.
and we were just sitting there, my buddy and I, and he was there smoking a cigar. He moved, and so I moved into his seat to hear my buddy better. He came back and he said, "Oh, excuse me, sir." I was sitting there and I said, "No problem." We started talking. We started talking. Everybody was coming over, like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Right.
And then we found out it was Raphael Nodell. And now every time I bump into him, coincidentally, I'm either smoking one of his cigars,
Oh,
aging room
wow.
cigars, or something that he's involved with. But yeah, true gentleman.
Yeah. And the current theme through the answers to that question is the people don't know who they are. Like they're legitimately like people don't know that they're that famous. Like you talk to Raphael and you don't understand that he is who he is until somebody says, "Oh, do you know who that is?" And I'm like, "That's just a guy who smokes cigars, who has a lot
Yeah,
of knowledge and just But like you
lots.
said, it really is a true gentleman." Yeah. All right. Well, you've done well, Norm. Is there any question that you or Dallas have for me at the end? Because the final question is there anything you'd like to ask me?
I might have two for you, but the one
All right.
that I'm kind of curious about is after you've talked and discussed and asked questions, is there a question that you would like to include for your 11th question?
I don't think so because the reason that this was crafted in the manner it was is it's completely stolen. Every you know poet is a thief is a great YouTube quote where they say every poet is a thief, and so This is stolen from Colbert, and Colbert did a questionnaire report. He was a local late night host in New York City, and he would do the 10 questions. And I think the 10 questions is kind of just where people's tolerance of me talking to other people can it kind of ends. And I think that it kind of goes through the cigar journey and gets it on there. So I don't know that it needs an 11th question. If I was forced to answer that, I think that the question I would ask would be, I don't know. I had a really great question. Adam Levine from League of Fat Bastards asked me if there was anything I would tell myself. If I went back in time, what would I tell myself? And I think that that would be something that I would incorporate somehow in the questions. Where if you could go back and tell yourself as a new cigar smoker to not smoke this, or to smoke more of these, or to buy more of those, and then what would it be? So I think that would be the only thing I would add. But that's kind of conjecture at this point. I like the questions the way that they are. Stop editing. Stop editing, Norm. What's
the last
other
thing,
question?
Okay. And I thought, because of your knowledge, I'd love to get your opinion on this. So what do you think the cigar industry might still get wrong about the average cigar smoker?
I think what the cigar industry gets wrong about the regular cigar smoker is the lack of wonderment that is apparent at every level of cigar smoker. If you've been smoking for years, you still have an amazing time going down and doing the rolling class with Company A. And it still took my breath away when we went up to the fields in Foundation and the fields were completely empty and we went off season. And just to have my hands in that dirt and know that cigars that I love have come from that, that was like, I was walking around on clouds for the rest of the week. And I think that that's what the cigar industry gets wrong, that there are still 21-year-olds inside of us who are like, oh, this is blended by Guapo de Maestros. And that means that all these guys put their years of information together into this cigar, and now I get to smoke it. And so I think that kind of glossing over that wonderment and saying, oh, you got to smoke this cigar because Celebrity A smokes it, or you got to smoke this cigar because it's got this aged tobacco. I think, I talked with my buddy, I am Jameson, and we were talking about, optimism versus pessimism. And, is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? I'm still happy to have a glass. I'm like, hey guys, we have a glass. Like, there are people who don't have glasses. There are people who are walking around with water in their hands or don't have water at all. So I think that losing that perspective, I think, is the thing that the cigar industry gets wrong across the board. And I think that just realizing that, hey, we're into this because of the conversation. And you said it in one of your posts. It's not about what you did today. It's not about what you've accomplished or what's going wrong in your life. Sometimes it's just about that moment and that cigar with that person. And I think that's what the industry as a whole, and bring the price of cigars down. Make them a little cheaper.
That'd be nice.
This has been Joshua Harris with Frankly Cigars, and I'm here with Norm from Blind Label Cigars, and who is actually a cigar fossil. Norm, thank you for your time, and I really do appreciate it.
Hey, it's been a pleasure.